All right, week 2 is in the books. We have a lot to dive into, so let's just get on in here with Illinois beating Duke 45-19. Watching this game in the first half, was a little bit surprised by how close of a game that this was. Duke was getting after the quarterback, that sort of thing, but a lot of people were really high on Illinois, and a lot of that had to do with Luke Altmyer, their quarterback, an experienced quarterback who has a lot of potential coming back for another year. And then Illinois goes out there and outscores Duke 31-6 in the second half. So then you go, okay, there it is. Like, that's the Illinois team that a lot of people have been expecting to see. They did win the turnover battle 5-0. And let's touch on Luke Altmyer. Had a nice day, 22-31 for nearly 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. This is an Illinois team that can make a lot of noise in the Big Ten. Ohio State beat Grambling 70-0. Why am I talking about Ohio State beating Grambling? Grambling is an HBCU. They're an absolute cupcake opponent. I get that. But Julian Sayin is that guy. And the player comp that comes to mind immediately when you talk about former Ohio State quarterbacks is CJ Stroud. And that's just with the processing, the good decision-making, the accuracy, the ball is out on time. He's composed back there. Again, and this isn't so much about Grambling as it is more of Julian Sayin's performance versus Texas. But now you have 2 games where Julian Sayin did everything he needed to do to get the win against Texas and didn't have a turnover-worthy throw. Yeah, he didn't have great numbers, but that wasn't the point of the game plan. And then against Grambling, he was very accurate with the ball, and the only incompletion was actually a pick, and that was just a young guy making a bad decision on the goal line. Also, a couple young guys that need to see some more reps. Riley Pettijohn, Mylan Graham, and Bo Jackson. All 3 of those guys need more snaps. Texas beat San Jose State 38-7. I think Arch Manning had himself a fine day, the exact kind of day you would expect from a quarterback like him, but I think there's something still off about Arch. And even going back to last week after the Ohio State game, all of the quarterback gurus on YouTube and online were pointing out that things were off with him from a mechanical standpoint. And I'm not going to act like I'm one of those guys, but something does kind of seem off. I don't know if he's hurt, and I'm not trying, I don't know. He's making there's a grimace on his face after he throws. It just, something looks off with his throwing motion. I don't know if he's just a little banged up. Maybe it is just the mechanics are slightly off and those have to be tweaked, but something doesn't quite seem right with Arch. Texas also, I don't know. I'm not going to say that they have no talent on offense, no skill talent, but that explosiveness seems to be lacking a little bit. Defensively, they look awesome. Like, they got dudes all over the place. They look really good. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something just seems a little bit off about Arch. Let's go to Clemson, who survived Troy 27-16. My God, I may have been a little bit too high on Clemson going back to this offseason. I have not been a big Dabo Swinney guy, but this last year, I don't know. I liked what they did last season. I know that, they come back, they win the conference, then, they lose in the playoff to Texas, but I just kind of felt like they were on this upward trajectory with Cade Klubnik at quarterback. I threw out some Heisman talk with Cade Klubnik, and they just have not been off to a good start this year. The loss to LSU, clearly they were not the better team. LSU was better, more violent, more physical. LSU had the better quarterback in that game. And then to be down 16-0 to start the game against Troy, at that point, you have to ask questions. If you lose to LSU, and LSU looks like, there's a lot of good, they could be really good. They could win the SEC from just what we've seen so far. That's kind of a wash. And not that you disregard that, but it's like, okay, that makes sense. Someone has to lose that game. And Clemson wasn't blown out in that game. To start down 16-0 against Troy, I don't know what that says. I don't know if that says they just weren't ready to play, but you can't be down 16-0 to competition like Troy. And this is not like, hey, Troy got the ball first, went down the field, scored on their opening drive, and we're down 7-0. 16-0, there's something going on here at Clemson, and it doesn't quite feel right. They can go on a run, they can get a lot better, but I think I might have been a little bit too high on Clemson and Cade Klubnik because they've looked worse than I thought they would look to start the year. Let's go to South Florida, who upsets Florida on the road, 18-16 in the Swamp. Field goal at the end of the game for the win. What an awesome start to the season for South Florida. 2 ranked wins. They beat Boise State, now they beat Florida in the Swamp. And they haven't had a ranked win in almost 10 years, 2016. I think that I heard after they beat Boise State last week. So great start, dream start for South Florida. They get a lot of credit. The Florida side of this is not great. I think you like DJ Lagway. There's still a lot there. Billy Napier is just, this is who Billy Napier is. And I know this is going to drive you crazy if you're a Florida fan. It drives me nuts seeing these games play out under Billy Napier's direction. I'm not even a Florida fan. The hard part is there's just continued questions if Billy Napier is the guy. Now, you may be saying, no, he's not the guy. And there might be people that still are on the train and believe it. I don't know if there's a lot of people left like that because this is one of those, I don't know, I would call it an inexcusable loss. Can you say that South Florida is better than we think? Sure. But at the same time, if you're Florida, you're playing an in-state, unranked opponent at home. You got to win those games. Got to win those games. And so, again, this isn't new, but the confidence with Billy Napier is just falling and slipping more and more and more. And as long as he remains head coach at Florida, every year, you're going to see examples of this where you can point to a game and go, that's not good enough here. Let's end with Oklahoma beating Michigan 24-13. I think this game played out exactly as I expected. Bryce Underwood, second start, going on the road, hostile environment. He's really good. He's going to be even better. He's just not good. He's just not good enough. And you can't expect him to be, as a true freshman, to go on the road and handle this environment and win them that game. If Michigan was going to win this game, he was going to have to win them that game. Credit to Oklahoma. They were physical from the jump. Defensively, they were getting after Michigan. They looked good. They looked tough. But Michigan doesn't have a good enough team to be able to carry Bryce Underwood to a win in a game like this. And then Bryce Underwood by himself isn't good enough to pick up his teammates around him and carry them to a win. So 24-13, the game, this just played out exactly like I thought it would. So in doing my preseason schedule prediction for Michigan, I had them losing this game to Oklahoma, and then I also have them losing their first Big Ten game in a couple weeks to Nebraska. Sharon Moore is suspended for that one. Bryce Underwood making another road start, first one in the Big Ten. I'm not a huge Nebraska guy, but I think that's a game where they can slip up. So the point is, I think starting this season, I'm not as worried about Michigan because this is what I thought would happen. Losing this game, Nebraska could be a game where they slip up, but I think the biggest thing that you're getting right now for Bryce Underwood is that you're getting this in-game experience that is very valuable. Going on the road and playing Oklahoma, kind of a win-win scenario in a way, I think, for Michigan, because you're not out of the playoff, obviously. With the 12-team playoff now, you can lose a game like this and you're fine. You have less, margin for error, but the most viable thing you can give Bryce Underwood at this point is just reps, in-game reps, especially on the road, hostile environment. So if you want to say he wasn't good enough, the moment was too big, whatever, that's fine. This was the game for that, right? Go on the road. They fought. They didn't get blown out. You got him very valuable in-game reps, and he's only going to get better from here.